Persona 3 is my favourite Persona game. Sure, there are certainly aspects that got improved in later games, but this one will always be special to me. Seeing as how we're about a year after the release of Persona 3 Reload, I really wanted to do a video on it. Reload is not the only version of Persona 3 with trophies though, there's also Persona 3 Portable. So I thought, why not pit the games against each other to see which has the harder Platinum trophy. Now, technically I've already sort of done this in the I ranked every Persona Platinum video that you should definitely go watch if you haven't yet after this. But I wanted to do a more direct comparison of the trophies against each other, rather than the more broad look I did in that video. First thing I think we should look at is the difficulty settings. And there's not really anything to go over. Neither game has any difficulty related trophies, so the difficulty is gonna have to come from what we're being asked to do rather than the battle difficulty. Though I do want to say that just as a base, Reload is probably the easier game due to more mechanics being present to help you out, such as Theurgy for example. Another early thing I should mention is that the amount of trophies is in no way reflective of the Platinum's difficulty. Just as an example for doing the story and nothing else, in Portable you get 10 trophies, while in Reload you get 12. What you do is the same for both of these, it's just that Reload gives a few where Portable doesn't. So the fact that Reload has 57 trophies while Portable only has 36 does not mean that Reload is automatically harder. So I think a good way to do this is to group the trophies into categories. So we'll start with Story quick, as I already briefly mentioned it earlier. There's 10 trophies specifically for the story in Portable and 12 in Reload. This is specifically story events and bosses. Like in Reload there may be combat trophies that are unmissable due to tutorials as part of the story, but those aren't included here. This breaks down as both games giving you a trophy for each of the Full Moon bosses plus Nyx, which is 8, as well as one for First Awakening to a Persona, so 9. Portable gives an extra trophy for Nyx Avatar, making it 10, while Reload gives one for joining Cease at the beginning of the game, as well as for all allies getting their evolved personas, which is story related in this game, as well as for reaching the final credits, adding up to 12 as previously mentioned. I also think now is a good time to mention that Reload has the Answer DLC, which added 8 trophies, but they're all just story related. Portable obviously does not have this, so there's an extra thing you need to do for Reload. However, Portable does have a trophy needing you to beat the game as both the male and female MC, so you need to go through the game again. This takes a lot less time with New Game Plus, as you keep your personas and equipment, making the early game an absolute breeze, and in fact, depending on how many cutscenes you skip, it's entirely possible to beat this second run through on Portable faster than the Answer and Reload. But averaging it out, I'm just going to say these are about the same in terms of extra time spent. For social links and stats, both games need you to do the same thing, namely max all of both stats and links. Interestingly though, the game gives you different trophies along the way. Reload gives you more, obviously, with trophies for maxing one social link as well as unlocking all of them, while Portable gives you one for maxing 10 social links. You also need to romance someone, which I guess is technically harder in Reload, as Portable automatically romances female social links at a certain level if you're playing as the male MC, while Reload you have to make the choice manually. I guess the extra button press technically makes it harder, and so I expect no disagreement there. This seems like it's a good time to mention that it is technically possible to max everything in one fresh playthrough, but seeing as Portable needs a second run anyway, it's less important there than in Reload, which is entirely possible to platinum in one run. Oh, you also need to score number 1 in exams in both games. I guess we'll just put that here as it's related to social stats. Either pay attention in class or look up the answers like a cheat. Up to you. Next we'll look at Persona Fusions, which is actually pretty different in each game. The main takeaway is that for Portable you need to complete the entire compendium, while the most you need to do in Reload is probably fuse Messiah. Obviously you'll need to fuse quite a bit to get all the relevant personas to get him, but it's not like there's a specific percentage required or anything. Other weird differences is Reload gives you trophies for your first fusion as well as your first 3 persona fusion, while Portable has one for your first 4 persona fusion. Portable also gives you one for a fusion accident, which is random, so not good to have a randomly decided trophy, not a fan of that, as well as having one for half the compendium and your first compendium summon, as well as 50 total fusions. Even though Portable gives noticeably more, this doesn't mean much considering you have to max the compendium anyway. They probably would have made more sense to be in Reload, as that one doesn't need a complete compendium, thinking about it. Now if you were thinking the trophy amounts were fairly even up to this point, you are correct. That is about to change. We'll call this section the Town section, as everything here is to do with stuff in town rather than in Tartarus. I am very good at naming things, I'm aware, thank you. So to start, Portable has one trophy in this section. Just one. It's for ordering 5 things from Tanaka's shopping channel on a Sunday. Not hard, just remember to do this on a Sunday. Reload though has, are you ready for this? Accept a phone invite 5 times on a Sunday, earn 50k from part-time jobs, spend an evening with a teammate in the dorm, get a combat characteristic for a party member, which is just hanging out with them in the evening 3 times, nurse the cat back to full health, eat from the special menu, harvest a crop with a teammate, get all the town Twilight fragments, and have Elizabeth visit your room. Obviously, Reload has a lot more to do, but I mean, it's not difficult, is it? Sometimes you have to use time, so I guess that does make the social links tighter for one playthrough. So while the tasks aren't difficult on their own, they make the overall platinum harder. Is that a reach? Maybe, but I'm sticking with it. But what about combat? I hear you cry. Surely that must have some trophies. Don't worry, I got you. Hitting 999 damage is in both games. Pretty easy once you get to a high level, just murderize something on an early floor. Defeat a gold hand and 50 all-out attacks are also in both games. These will likely happen naturally unless you're going for some challenge run. Also, rescuing someone from Tartarus is in both games. Not really combat, but hey, it's Tartarus, combat happens around it, so here it goes, there's nowhere else to put it. Both games also give you trophies related to advantage battles. You only need 1 for Portable, while Reload needs 50. Now, most of Reload's exclusive Tartarus trophies are to do with all the added mechanics, but Portable actually has a few to itself, such as 100 weakness hits, easy, fighting a battle in a costume, easy, and switching personas 5 times in one battle, which again, easy. Reloads are for things like using the new shift feature or spending 50 Twilight fragments. You know, features that weren't in the original game. I'm not going to just list everything again, as most will happen naturally, and I already did a big list bit and I really don't want to overdo it. I will mention the more difficult ones, we'll say. First, clear 10 monad doors. The enemies in here are typically stronger, so people may opt to avoid them. More notably is one of the most obviously missable trophies in the game, that being to use every teammate's Theurgy. For no reason in particular, just make sure you use all your teammates' Theurgies as soon as you get them. That's probably the easiest combat trophy to miss across both games. Now, we've been through a lot, but in reality this section is the deciding factor without question, which is why I saved it for last. This is the super boss section. So we'll start with the one boss that both games are kind enough to give you a trophy for, that being the Reaper. He's handily the easiest, even before considering that you can just play on safety mode to completely negate the challenge with revives. Even fighting him normally at the end game when you actually have good personas and equipment and whatever else you need, he's pretty manageable. Next up we have Elizabeth, who is in both games, or you can fight Theodore in Portable, but the fight is exactly the same, so it's whatever. Now, although the boss fight is in both games, only Portable gives you a trophy for beating her. Don't know why, maybe they want newer Persona Platinums to be easier. That could also be the reason there's no Joker trophy in the Answer DLC. The boss itself is actually on a persistent pattern, so once you know that, you can easily plan out what persona to switch to and what moves to use. You also need certain fusion spell items in Portable, but again, once you know that, you can go in prepared. This boss, unlike the Reaper, cannot be cheesed with safety, as they will hit you with max damage attacks constantly without giving you a chance to do anything. Portable does have a super boss entirely to itself, however, that being Margaret. This boss is less predictable than Elizabeth, but to offset that, you actually get to have your whole party with you, so it's really up to you which is harder. Margaret also gives you a trophy in Portable if that wasn't clear already. So with all the trophies compared, which platinum is actually harder? It's Portable, isn't it? It's definitely Portable. I think we can all agree. The majority of the extra trophies in Reload are easily gotten naturally on a regular playthrough. Meanwhile, Portable gives you 2 extra super bosses, the hardest fights in the game, that you can't cheese, even on safety mode, as well as needing you to complete the compendium. And a mandatory second playthrough. Even with the Answer DLC, Reload just can't stand against Portable's difficulty. Weirdly though, I think Portable might actually be the shorter platinum, yes, even with the second playthrough. The reason for this is that you don't need to wait as long for animations to play out, as well as quicker cutscene skips for a second playthrough. So yeah, final verdict? Reload longer, Portable harder. And that's the video. Did you enjoy? Have you got one or both of these platinums? Did you agree with my ruling, or do you think Reload is way harder? Let me know all that in the comments, and while you're down there, press like on it if you liked it, and why not subscribe as well? It's free and helps me out a ton. Thanks for watching. For now though, I'm off. Hunt them tropes, and I'll see you next time.